In this video I will present how to configure an application. Now, what is an application? An application is a list of instrument drivers that we select that are going to be used during an experiment. So when you do an experiment, you are using some instruments, physical instruments, and for every instrument that you're using, there is an instrument driver, if that instrument is controlled by the computer, obviously. So this instrument driver is like the virtual equivalent of your instrument controlled by the computer. And building an application is basically gathering all these instrument drivers associated with these physical instruments together and configuring them individually. Okay, so let's see how we can do this. So this is the front panel of the principal program. Let's run the program, and we go to Application, Configure Application, and now you have this application configuration window that pops up, and it tells you what you can do next. So we're configuring a new application, and I'll show you after, once the application is configured and saved, how you can come back later and just load the file. So you have to configure an application only once, and then every time you do or perform the same experiment using the same instruments, you just have to load this file. So basically, in a lab, many people can use the program and instruments, and every day they come to work, they basically load up their configuration file, the application file, and they're ready to run an experiment which is individualized, which is basically was built by themselves, containing only a set of instruments available in the lab. So configure new application, so let's click here, and now the program asks me to create a configuration file or an application file. So I just decide now to have 3 instruments in my experiments. We're going to use a CCD camera, we're going to use a piezo motor driver, and we're also going to use a let's say a perfusion driver, which is a program that controls some valves. And this is just the name. This is just the name of my application file. But I usually put in the name whatever instruments I'm using, so that I can remember them later when I come back. You can put your name, you can put whatever you want, it's not important. Now there is another window that pops up, and it gives me all the instrument drivers that live on this particular computer here. So you see we have a CCD camera instrument driver, one that runs a linear array, which is another sort of imaging device. We have some instrument that is called the penguin, and perfusion, and the piezo. So I'm just going to select these and put it in the chosen instrument window. Okay, the piezo, and we're going to select the perfusion. Now if you make a mistake, you can always unselect it and put it back. So once we have the list, we continue, and now all these instrument drivers, they appear in this window here, and we have to basically set them individually. So we'll double click on each one of them. Now this is the image CCD camera driver, okay, that we need to set. Okay, and this configuration window lets you choose a few parameters, which tells the operating system how important this particular instrument driver is for you. Okay, how important it is for your experiment. So if image is the most important data in your experiment, then you choose a high priority for this instrument. And what is the highest priority you can choose? You just put the highest number, and it will give you whatever it's allowed for you as a maximum priority that Windows understands. So let me put a 5 here, which is fairly high priority. This period tells you how fast the internal loops of this program will spin, how fast the program will run. And this particular computer has 8 microprocessors inside, so here I can choose on which microprocessor to run this particular module of the program, of the application. And I'll just let, by putting -2, I'll let Labview decide for that. Okay, so I have to go back and hit the exit button here, and I have to do this same procedure for all these 3 instruments. Luckily, you only have to do it once. So you see, after you configure one instrument, it turns gray. So this is just to remind you, in case you have a long list of instruments, the ones that it reminds you the ones that have already been configured. You don't have to go in this order, in the order that they appear. You can configure them in any order you like. So let's do the same for the piezo driver. Again, click the configuration button and put back and exit. Now, every time you click the configure button and close this window, the configuration file will be written with the information for this particular instrument driver. So it's important to do the same for all these instruments, to click on the configure button and close it, -2, and let's put a 40 here. Even if you make a mistake here, it doesn't matter. You can always reconfigure these instruments later. When you run your application, you'll see how it goes, and you might want to change some parameters. These parameters depend on your machine. Sometimes your machine cannot support to run these instrument drivers at very high priority, so your application is not going to work properly. So it depends on your machine, and it also depends on the importance every one of these instrument drivers have for you. If the most important thing is to control these valves, these perfusion valves, with very, very high temporal accuracy, to make them respond in time very fast, then this is probably going to be the instrument that you're going to set the highest priority to. Alright, so now all these instruments have been configured, and I just hit the finish configuration button, and these instrument drivers now will appear in the front panel, in the display panels here, right or left. Now remember, in the principal program on the front panel, we can only see 2 instrument drivers at a time, so there's one running in the background, and we can access it just by hitting the escape button, and we can make it replace you see the other instrument driver that was here before. And if you want to replace it with the CCD camera with the other instrument running in the background, you just select from this window here. Alright, so this is for the configuring a new application. Now, I told you that you don't have to bother too much about these numbers that you put when you configure your file, because once you're running your application and you see that it's not running very well, you can always come back here and hit the configuration button, and now you can set again these parameters for this particular instrument, and now the application file was updated with the new numbers. So you can basically change this number here, and there we go. Your application file was updated again. So now let's exit this program, and let's say we come back tomorrow and we want to run the same experiment. So we basically run the program and hit the configure application menu, and now we know that we have a configuration file already written. So we say load application, and this is our application that we just created. You see we have the same 3 instruments, and hit the finish configuration button, and there we go. The application is running, and we're ready to run our experiment. Alright, thank you very much.